Okay, now we're coming to the end of the home study course, and hopefully you're going to decide to join us in a private tutorial where we'll trade together. But in this summing up, let's talk about what you've learned so far. You've learned all of the examples that we've given you. You know all of the entries, you know all the exits, you know the strategy. And now we come to the most important part. And that is everything you've learned up until this point is really going to contribute about 10% to your success. The other big part of your success is going to be your mental attitude. So let's spend a little bit of time talking about that. First of all, there's a big difference between working and playing. And most people who come to trading commodities and stocks want to make money, and they want to make a lot of money, but they don't want to spend all their life for it. They don't want to swap their life for money. They want to get the money and still have life to enjoy it. And let's talk about and look at the differences between work and play. In work, you sacrifice your time. You give your time to somebody else, and they pay you for this time. And work is drudgery. And what we all want to do is have more time to do what? To play. And there's a big difference between working and playing. For example, you probably are familiar with one of the greatest basketball players ever, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, in one game several years ago, had 55 points in just one game. In an interview after that game was over, he was asked, how did it feel? And Michael said, well, I was just in the zone and I couldn't get out. And we want to talk about trading in the zone because it's 90% mental. It's only 10% what you're using and the indicators you're using. And play is characterized by something that's enjoyable to do. And if trading is not enjoyable to you, something is wrong. And it's not wrong with trading, it's something is wrong with us. So we want to look at how to have fun and how to make money at the same time. Okay, another example besides Michael Jordan is Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan, you may remember, is the first human who ever ran a 4-minute mile. When he was interviewed after that athletic performance, he said it was the easiest race he had ever run in his whole life. Now think about that. In all of history, up until the time of Jim Ryan, no one had run a mile in less than 4 minutes. Jim Ryan ran it in less than 4 minutes, and then he said, this was the easiest race I've ever won. And after he broke the 4-minute barrier, guess what happened? Dozens and dozens and dozens of runners have broken that barrier now. And it's pretty common now to have a 4-minute mile. What's been the difference? The big difference is in our mental attitude. And most people come to trading with work as their attitude. And work is something that you do that you don't really like, and it is hard, and you keep doing it, and finally, hopefully, you get some kind of reward. Play, on the other hand, is not work at all. It's enjoyable. So if trading is not fun, you're doing something wrong, and we need to determine what that wrongness is. Trading should be fun. With the right mental attitude, it is fun. The right mental attitude is characterized by 3 things. It's characterized by self-trust. That means you trust yourself. It's characterized by engaging enjoyment, and time just kind of flies away. And it's characterized by focused recognition, which means that you're looking for those trades, you're looking for those indicators, and when they come up, there's no question. You just take them. There's no big decision making. You just take the ones that come up. Remember in the early sessions we were talking about this pyramid of trading and the basic 5 levels of that trading. And we covered those 3 levels of trading. And this has to do with the beginner, the advanced beginner, and the competent trader. And we know at this level, at the 3rd level, the competent trader knows all the signals. That's where you should be about now. But above the competent trader, we have the virtuoso. And remember, we used the example of playing a piano. At this level, at the competent level, the piano player plays the piano exactly the way it's written. But there's levels above that. And the virtuoso level, which is this 4th level here, is where you start putting yourself into the music. And you do the same thing in trading. You won't trade exactly like Justine and I don't trade exactly alike. You will trade the way you should trade, and that'll be your best trader. And then at the top of this trading level, this is the master trader. And the master trader is the one who understands the market and understands himself. And this is the goal that we're looking for. is for you to combine your knowledge of how to get in and out of the market and your knowledge of how to get in and out of your trading mental state. And as we're making this video, we're in San Diego, and San Diego has a football team that's doing really well this year, and their star is a guy by the name of Tomlinson, and he gets paid $60 million. Now, realize he gets paid not for working, but he gets paid for playing, and I think there's a big important message here for us. If trading, again, seems like work to you, then you're doing something wrong. What we want to do is get into the zone of trading. We have that engaging enjoyment. We have nothing else in the world we'd rather do, and it's easy. As Jim Ryan said, it's the easiest race I've ever won in my life. And what you're going to find out is that the big days where you bring in a lot of mountains of money are going to be some of the easiest days you've ever had trading. Remember also in one of the early sessions, we were talking about what happens in the atmosphere, and we have a hydrogen atom over here and we have an oxygen atom over here. And remember that they come into the gravitational field of each other and they're attracted to each other, but 99.9% of the time they make the decision not to come together, not to give up their old habits, not to give up their old way of being in the world. But about 1% of the time, they take the chance of giving up something that they've always been to be something better. And they combine with each other, and they combine and make water. And without water, you and I would not be alive today. So the question is, can we give up our old categories and let the market be our guide? And that's not easy for some of us, and some of us it's much easier. So hopefully it's going to be easy for you. If it's difficult for you, my suggestion is that you seriously consider coming to a private tutorial where we actually work together and trade together. And remember that the gravitational attraction here was the force that was working on these two atoms, and they gave up their old way of being to be this new way which combines something even better, which is water. And let's take a couple of examples here. Hopefully this will illustrate what we're talking about, because it's really, really important. I'm going to ask you to do something in just a moment, and I want you to pay close attention to what happens when I ask you to do it. It's something that's very easy to do. You've done it millions and millions of times. You've done it already many times today. I just want you to pay attention to it right now. So what I'm going to ask you to do is simply this: breathe. And notice what you're doing. Now, when I ask you to breathe, what most people will either do is they will either take a deep breath, they'll go and inhale, or they'll stop breathing to notice the breathing. So the question is, if I ask you to breathe, can you just keep breathing without changing anything? And most people have a very difficult time of doing this. And if you have a difficult time of doing this, this means that you're holding on to those old categories, you're holding on to those old bits of behavior, and you're trying to please someone else instead of enjoying yourself. Let me give you another example. This one's even better, probably. This time I'm going to ask you to do something, and I'm going to ask you to do it. It's something you do all the time. You've done it many times already today. And I'm going to ask you to do it as fast as you can, 5 times in a row. And what I'm going to ask you to do, and again, pay attention to what you're doing as you try this. I'm going to ask you to swallow 5 times as fast as you can. Try that now. 1, 2, gets a little harder, doesn't it? And most people can't do it. They can't swallow 5 times in a row without stopping. And the reason for that is that swallowing is a very natural thing. You do it every hour. Even when you're asleep, you swallow and you never even wake up. But when you try to do it, then you're using the wrong part of your brain. And that's what we've been about these whole 8 weeks here, this 8 sessions. And that is becoming one with the market and giving up your old way of being and becoming one and being in the market with the market. And then you are a master trader, and you will make a lot of money and have a lot of fun doing it. Here is a continuum, for example, of everybody that's been born. 90% of everybody is born in what's known as a, for lack of a better term, let's just call it a closed-minded society or a closed-minded environment. Only 10% are born in an open environment. These 90% of us over here who are born in this environment, we take instruction and we take orders from other people. Our life is based on others' expectations, whether it's individuals or organizations or whatever, and we become rebels. And if you don't believe we're in rebels, a nation and world, just look at the wars that are going on right now as we talk. And over here, these tend to become more open-minded people, and they become innovators. And we want to become innovators ourselves in trading. We want to trade the way we want to trade. Then the question becomes, well, if we're so much over here, how do we get over toward the 10% of the big winners? First thing is knowledge, but the most important thing is your attitude and your way of thinking. And that's why we say that 90% of your trading depends upon you and not the materials that you're using and not the indicators that you're using. So when we get the optimist and the pessimist, and the optimist is over here in the open-minded, then we have something. Let's look at it in this way. This is life, and life is going this way. And you have some good times and you have some bad times and good times and bad times, and it sort of all tends to equal out. This is a closed-minded person. This is the 90%. We exist here. We don't fulfill our ambitions and our abilities. And an open-minded person tends to do this. Their highs are much higher and their lows are much lower. So this is the open-minded person. And by open-minded, this simply means that you're open to changing your mind. You're open to altering your behavior depending upon what you're getting from the world and what you're getting from the markets. So the open-minded people will experience things that the closed-minded people have never experienced at all. On the good side, they also will experience more sadness than these people. So there's a choice that we have to make somewhere. If we're going to achieve our fullest potential, if we're going to have the maximum amount of enjoyment in life and get the most goodies out of life, it's going to be better to be open-minded. That means as a trader, if you're a closed-minded trader, you're going to make a little, lose a little, make a little, lose a little. If you're an open-minded person, trader, you're going to make a lot more. You have the ability to lose a lot more. But what happens when you use the techniques we are teaching you, these downsides will be much less. So you won't have this big valley down here, and it'll be mostly peaks. Okay, so then the question becomes, well, assume that I'm a closed-minded person. And by the way, these labels, I don't know what else to give them. Closed-minded is a different situation from an open-minded, but you have a lot less problems. So there may be some people who want to stay closed-minded. Don't read into this anything more than a label. So let's say that we're a closed-minded person and we're not getting as much profit as we want. And let's erase this and let's make another continuum. And this is a growth continuum. This is closed-minded over on this side, open-minded over here. And you are somewhere along this continuum. And let's just assume that you're here. But you want to go in this direction. You want to go in the direction of more profit, more open-mindedness, more enjoyment, and getting more out of life. How do you do that? Well, there's two ways, and only two ways that I know of. One way is to come over here and find somebody who is further along this trail that you're going and learn from them and copy them and then innovate your own personality in that and let it become one with you. And that's sort of what you're doing here, isn't it? I mean, you've gone through 8 weeks, 8 sessions with us because apparently you think we might know something about trading that you don't know and you could learn from us. And hopefully that's true. So that's one way. There's another way to do it too. And this is less, you don't see this as much, but it is a way. So what you do, this is you get some other people who are like-minded as you, and you form this group, and the purpose of this group is to go in that direction, toward open-mindedness, toward fulfillment, toward enjoyment. That works. And so here you have us as the experts. You perceive us as experts. Hopefully you do. And we're showing you how to do something in a different way. Then you come to a tutorial, and in a tutorial you get in a group of people who are all engaged in going in the same direction, and you bring this leader here, down here, and then it's an easy trip over here. And again, it sounds like we're selling the private tutorial, and in a way we are, because the people who come to a private tutorial in the past have consistently done much better, made much more money, and are happier in their trading. Because when we trade together, you're going to pick up attitudes, you're going to pick up nuances that you don't get from the written word. So what do we do now? Well, we're coming toward the end of this session, and again, we hope that you'll join us in a private tutorial where we can get to know you a lot better. And there's a couple of things we'd like for you to do. One thing we want you to do is to write us a letter. Whether you attend the private tutorial or not, we'd still like for you to write us a letter. Tell us what you got from this course. If you think there's something missing or something you needed that you didn't get, we'd like for to hear that too. And tell us about yourself. Tell us about your trading, how your trading has been going, what you've done each day, what you've learned from the morning pages and the relaxation exercises. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to visit our website, to email us, to telephone us. We're here for you. And once you have purchased this home study course, which you have, then you are a student for life. It's not really over. We're here for you. There's a lifetime guarantee for support. Now you need to understand that that's our lifetime and not yours. When our lifetime is up, we're going to quit this support stuff. But until then, we can have a lot of fun. And again, we hope to see you soon at a private tutorial.